Hello and welcome to today's video. As per my nail rules, I'm swatching out my most recent purchases. The next in line is FFS by Bee's Knees Lacquer. It is a cherry red jelly base with a strong blue to purple shifting shimmer. Now, when I say cherry, I don't mean that super bright, like maraschino cherry color, but more of that drab, dirty, red colored cherry that you eat fresh. If you happen not to know what FFS stands for, it's for fuck's sake, which if you've ever played a difficult video game, you definitely uttered that phrase. That, or you are a much more stoic person than I am. It makes perfect sense to me that a collection dedicated to Elden Ring would have a polish with this name. Elden Ring is famously difficult. Way back, I bought fuck from the Bee's Knees Lacquer site. And as a theme, I thought about buying all of their polishes with that word in it, but that seemed too committed for a comedic bet for someone just trying to keep their nail polish collection small. Also, I happened to not like the look of a couple that came out, so I just abandoned the idea. I've still bought a few that just happen to coincide with my taste in colors. As I'm applying the first coat, the thing that came to mind was that it looked like I had just been eating cherries and I had stained my fingernails. It's great. I can't rave enough about this polish. That morose red base is just perfect. It is just a little dusty. When I talk about dusty, I mean that it has some gray or black in it. For me, having white in a formula is a different consideration that changes it to being acrylic, but also helps to give us those baby colors, those light colors, those pastels. This one really doesn't have that much white in it at all, but it does have a little bit of gray. For fuck's sake, also has just a hint of blue. Now don't mind me in the second coat. I'm going to touch up a little bit. I noticed a bubble in the polish and I just didn't want it to stay, so I was just trying to get it to pop or to wipe it away without taking any excess polish with it. So if it looks a little strange, that's what's happening. This is another one of those great polishes that I think looks good in any number of coats. I would wear it in one coat if I needed something more sheer. It looks great in two, and you definitely get more of that base coat in three, and it does look deeper and darker and moodier. So it would just depend on how you felt on the day. I thought I didn't like pinks and reds, and Bee's Knees is making me into a liar. I'm happy to be made into one in this case. There is a mystery for August named Phoenix Reborn, and that went straight onto the wish list. Whenever that comes back, I am getting that. I think I just needed some scuffed looking pinks and reds. I'm still on the hunt for a saturated but bright red that verges on being an orange, but we'll see what appears in the future. Now to see how my brain works relationally. This is low-key a Swedish fish color. If you're going for a candy theme, that would fit. I personally don't like gummy candy, but my husband does, and so I see a lot of Swedish fish go through the house, and it just reminds me of Swedish fish. I cannot explain to you why it decided that this was Swedish fish color, but it is. And I'm sorry for this in advance, but this color also reminded me of Hellraiser, the movie. They just loved a blue filter, and so the blood in the film tends to look a little blue. I've only ever seen the first one, but I would say not a movie for those sensitive to gore. That's a generalization I suppose you could aim at any horror movie. You'll notice the shimmer here is primarily that medium blue, and it's flipping over just barely into a purple, a more bluish purple than fuchsia, and it's about a medium size. You'll see when we get outside that it will shift a little bit more than this, but it does still stay within the range of just being a mainly blue shimmer. In the sun, that blue shift looks absolutely electric. The purple shift has a slight silvery cast to it, which I'm enjoying. It almost moves into a maroon-looking color at the sides of my nails. The base color does get pulled a little bit fuchsia in the sun thanks to the purple and blue shifts of the shimmer, but it still retains some of that dusty quality. Within my spreadsheet, this has been labeled as a red and not a purple, even though in the sun I feel like it takes on more of the characteristics of a purple. I think outside it looks even more like candy than it did inside. I did shorten up my clips in the LED lights inside just so that I could add an extra clip of the nail polish in dappled light, so you could see the full range of colors it will move through as it goes through full sun, into shade, and then back again. You're going to see that not only do we see more of that sort of rusty pinkish cherry color, but the shimmer will move over to a much more silvery aqua color at times as well, which also I feel feeds into that dusty tone of the base. I think you're seeing the full range of the shimmer now, how it can look more lustrous and shiny, but also slightly visually textured. It goes from that silvery aqua color over into that medium blue and over to purple. In regards to the base color, I think you're seeing it go from that maroon at the edges over to the fuchsia, and then going back in the shade to that slightly dusty cherry color. I thought this might work for a secretary bird, but on inspection, her eyes are a little more of a hot orange color. It does look a bit like a purple finch, which is a pretty common bird where I am. But it reminded me most of the pink-headed warbler. She is definitely another bird worthy of a skittle. I think this color might match her belly feathers well. In the shade, the blue dims down to that silvery aqua blue, just like it did in the dappled light. When I raise my fingers, you can sometimes see a bit of red or gold around my cuticle line. I don't think that's part of the nail polish. I think that's the sunlight bouncing off of objects in my environment and then reflecting off my nail polish. So I would not expect to see that golden red in person. I say that because the shape of the gold is circular and in a strange place on my fingernail, so that it does not seem like a natural shift in the nail polish. We could literally be seeing the sun reflecting in my nail. Also, I'm sorry about how wobbly I am for a few seconds there. There was another mosquito and I did not want him in my footage. I just needed a second to blow him away from my hand. The shimmer can almost get to an eggplant in the purple range here. Indoors, the silvery blue shimmer looks almost gray, having lost some of its blue tones. But as I swing around to the right and some light from the window becomes available, the medium blue reappears. The indoor lighting does help the polish lean into its more grim facets. It is at its most dingy inside. The shimmer does help it look more maroon. Here I think it looks more like a maroon oriole with its deep red and black feathers. I think of an old red velvet coat that is faded in the sun and it looks a bit worn and shabby. This polish is the attire of the road-weary circus that has seen better days. It's sad and beautiful all at once. And that is all for today. Thank you for watching. I always appreciate it when anyone watches my videos. Please enjoy a clip of a young crow wandering around the deck and hoping for better things.